Next up, Shays Rebellion, which happened in 1786. 1.14. You probably remember this from AP US history. I've been saying that a lot lately. There's a big overlap in this early part of our uh, class because we're talking about the early part of the United States being created, and that, of course, overlaps a lot with U.S. history. So we're looking at the road to the Constitution. How do we get to the Constitution after the Articles of Confederation is formed? Why do they switch and end up creating the U.S. Constitution? And the reason, largely, is got to do with Shays Rebellion. And Shays Rebellion really just shows how bad the Articles of Confederation are. There was already some problems under it, but the problems are going to be magnified here in Shays Rebellion. So go ahead and flip over. We got several bullet points. You're going to study them, and then you're going to do practice on Shays Rebellion plus some other things. All right, awesome. Here we go. And always pause if you need to, because I might go too fast. All right, first off, background. Massachusetts is taxing its people heavily. Why? Because they were in major government debt. The debt of Massachusetts was heavy due to leftover expenses from the Revolutionary War. And so Massachusetts raises taxes on people, and a lot of those taxes were on property. Right, so you got the property taxes, and by the way, if you don't pay your property taxes, the government takes your property. Right, if you owe money to the bank and you don't pay your bank loan, then the bank takes it. But when you don't pay your taxes, the government can actually take your property. So just know that as background. Western Massachusetts. So when you look into this map right here, you'll see Hampshire County and Franklin, those areas, Berkshire, the Berkshires. This area is where a lot of these Western Massachusetts farmers ended up couldn't pay. The taxes were too high. They weren't making enough money off the land, and so they're having problems. Real pretty picture here on the left, showing you, a barn out in Western Mass, and it's where I went to college, out at UMass Amherst area. A real pretty area, but this is where Shays Rebellion is going to happen. Far away, by the way, from Boston, about a 2-hour drive if you were in a car. Back then, in a wagon, it'd be a lot longer. All right. And so because they weren't paying taxes, they couldn't pay their taxes, they were facing a land seizure by the courts. So the courts, on behalf of the government, would seize or take the land of the farmers. And the farmers, obviously, are going to be very ticked off by this. If you need to pause, go ahead. Daniel Shays is a Revolutionary War veteran, and he also was a leader in the community as a result of that. And he rebels against the court. All right, and you can see actually his headstone here. Leader of the Shays Rebellion that influenced creation of the U.S. Constitution. Yes, that's why we learn it. Awesome. Cool. And the impact is that there was no centralized military power to stop the rebellion. The problem is that Massachusetts help us, and there's nothing. Matter of fact, let me see if I can play the video clip here. I don't think it'll work, but try it. I don't know if you could hear that. That was supposed to be crickets. Anyway, but that's what they heard. There was the other states did nothing to help them, and so yeah, that's a problem. By the way, in Western Mass, if you ever go visit there are these stone markers here on the left hand side, little places where they mark where Shays Rebellion was on a certain date or whatever. So this is a big deal in Western Mass. So this was evidence that the articles must change due to the weakness of the Confederation. So articles must change due to the weakness of the Confederation. And foremost among the people that thought it needed to change was George Washington. This is clear that this is going to be a problem. And they end up ending the rebellion eventually only because private citizens and bankers and whatnot in Boston raised money in order to put the rebellion down. But it wasn't because the government was able to actually do anything. The government just sat and watched these people take over and take over courts and shut down the government business, and they were just powerless to do anything. All right. So that is Shays Rebellion, and this is going to lead to, again, people like George Washington, James Madison, and others are going to say, we need to change this, and let's have a constitutional convention and write something new because the articles are terrible. All right, cool. Go practice and learn this.